Nice day here in Nvidia from last week's trading session, only up around 32 cents from Friday's close, but we had that nice big recovery in here. So you had that drawdown, that big drawdown from around 11:30 to 12:30 midday, and then a nice recovery getting back all the gains and then some. And then obviously we kind of gave up some of those gains as we worked our way into close, but all in all, up around 32 cents on the day, even though we are down around 20 cents from that in after hours. So we're on the weekly chart here. What does this kind of tell us? Well, this overall structure that we have kind of set up in here, that we've been watching ever since basically that big drawdown in April, is that we're kind of creeping and crawling our way back up into these high 140s. So you can see we hit 145, 147 up in here. But the past 3 weeks, kind of running out of steam up here, right? So we did confirm a breach of this lower trend line right in here. So this was going to be what are we going to do? Are we going to breach that upper trend line and then start working our way higher, more all-time highs? Or are we going to breach this lower trend line here and then try to start to, kind of reset that RSI a little bit before we work our way up? And it looks like basically neither of those happened. We're just kind of trading in the middle, right? So we did breach a lower trend line, but we're not pulling back as much as we want. Volatility is not kicking in as much as we would like. Your IV rank in here is 0. So volatility compared to itself in here for the past year, lowest it's been. So volatility got sucked out in here, basically a whole lot of nothing, right? So basically flat on these last 3 days. So we need a move in here. What are we going to get? We're going to get a sharp one to the downside, or are we going to get a nice rip to the upside? Right now, after today, we don't know, right? Because we ended flat, had a nice recovery in here, thought that big pullback in here midday is going to help us bring some volatility in. There we go. There's the directional bias that we needed. We're going to pull back in here, maybe drop down to 140, 136. No, we recovered on that nicely. So it looks like everybody's buying up the dips in here. So that could be a sign of a nice bullish move in here incoming. So if we could rip above this 149, 148 area rather quickly on some good volume, this thing could take off to hit the 155s, 160s easily. But we're not going to put all our eggs in that basket just yet, because we have to kind of wait and see, are we going to breach this upper trend line, and are we going to breach it on some good volume? That is kind of the question, what we're looking for. We still need this RSI to be reset just a little bit here on the weekly chart. So a pullback in here to right around this 135, or perhaps even lower than 131 would be healthy overall, and it wouldn't really mess us up too much here on the weekly chart long term. Now on the daily chart, what are we looking at in here? Well, you can see we'll clean up this line right here. We'll kind of remove this. But we'll keep this upper trend line here. We're kind of riding that 9-day EMA. You can currently see that trading at 143.51. Anything below that, you're going to get saved here by that 131 that we mentioned earlier, but the 200 SMA down here is going to hold a lot of weight for us. So I don't see us breaching down below 128 anytime soon and having to come all the way back here. Now that would be a nice big move in here for everybody to eat up, but I don't think we're going to go down that low. If anything, the 136s in here, 135s, that whole area should kind of hold some weight for us and reset this RSI just enough for us to get another little pump in here either way. So we'll see what happens in here going forward overall on Nvidia. But again, this upper trend line on the daily is going to be right around that 148 mark. Your 9-day EMA is 150, 143. You're looking at 135, 136 and the 131 areas. Those are kind of the levels you're going to be watching in here as we start to kind of trade. Depends on what's going to happen news based, right, with Israel and Iran. If we start to pull back, then we'll start worrying about those lower levels in here. But overall, if we're trading sideways, those levels that we just mentioned, that is going to be the main players for us in here going forward, unless we get some really good news in here overall, and we kind of rip up through that 148, 149 on volume. Then we can start worrying about playing this thing to the long side. We do have right around a $3 expected move by this Friday, next Friday, right around $5. Go all the way out to your July monthlies, right around a $10 expected move. So we'll see overall what happens in here. But again, like I mentioned before, nice day overall in here because you had that pullback and everybody just kind of ate it up and then just recovered on it overall very nicely. So that is good news for the Bulls in here. Bears, you almost had your chance in here to kind of tank this thing and to kick some volatility in, but it looks like you guys got caught in a bull trap. So we'll see what happens for the rest of the week going forward. This thing is going to be very reactionary to the markets, to news-based things like that. So be careful in here. But all in all, RSI needs to be reset. The structure in here has been telling us that we are overexhausted. We need to reconsolidate. We need a little bit of a pullback in here, but I'm not sure how much of one we're going to get, especially on days like today where we had the pullback and we basically just gave it all up. So we'll see what happens in here for the rest of the week in NVIDIA. All right, guys, if you like this video, make sure to check us out on all of our social media. We also have a Discord service if you're interested, and you can find all of our socials in the description below.